Good evening, everyone. My name is Aaliyah, and I would like to welcome you to our first Lightbearers Mission community training session. The purpose of these community training sessions are to make a difference in the community by training and providing information that meets the needs of our community members and their families, which we believe will make a difference. Throughout our presentation series, we will be providing information on a variety of different topic areas, such as addiction, family, health, and overcoming health-related issues, providing cooking classes, and so much more. So stay tuned for what's to come. The topic for this evening is finance. We know that money is important to everyone and can impact our day-to-day life, especially during these times. In fact, money and financial stress can manifest and negatively impact your physical well-being. That's because stress, of course, impacts your cortisol levels, which in turn impacts your cardiovascular health. So today, Mr. Michael Wilson will be presenting. He is a local financial planner with many years experience, and his focus is on helping people invest for their futures. I will let him share his background and experience in working with his clients in a little bit. While he's presenting on this seminar, you might have questions. Feel free to put your questions in the chat box or hold your questions till the end, where Mr. Wilson will be hosting a question and answer session. And before we get started with the presentation, we want to open this time with a word of prayer, because we believe that to have success in anything, we need to first seek God's blessings. So will Elder Munchin pray for us, and then we'll get right into our training session.
Yes, thank you, Aaliyah. Let us pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for this time that we're able to come together and learn. You've given us many resources on this earth. One is finance, and you expect us to be good stewards of the things that you give us. So help us, Lord, and take in what Mike Wilson will be talking about. Help us not only to take it in for ourselves, but also take this information and share with others, so we may all become better stewards of what you give us. Thank you for those that are on the call right now, as well as those that will be coming on. May you bless us all, and we thank you for what you're about to do with us all. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
And
good evening, everyone. I am Michael Wilson. Yes, thank you. I am Michael Wilson, a financial advisor and financial planner. My credentials: I'm a certified fund specialist and an accredited investment fiduciary with over 3 decades of experience in helping people secure their future. Many of you may have heard of Dave Ramsey, who is a financial fitness guru who teaches people how to become debt-free and financially free through his Christian-based Financial Peace course. He has a nationally syndicated show called The Dave Ramsey Show and a book called The Total Money Makeover. He has a proven system for financial fitness. This course, called Financial Peace University, has been presented at many churches. I'm a SmartVestor Pro with the Ramsey Solutions. There are 7 baby steps that Dave Ramsey teaches. 1, save $1,000 for an emergency fund. 2, pay off all your debt except your house. 3, save 3 to 6 months of expenses in a fully funded emergency fund. 4, invest 15% of your household income in a retirement plan. 5, save for your children's education or college fund. 6, pay off your home early. 7, build wealth. And give, give, give. That's his principles. We will go through the first 3 steps today. I will only discuss it or speak in the areas of, are you ready for the next emergency? Are you having trouble making ends meet? Is your family saving for the future? Now, in order to put things into perspective, we will look at some statistical facts. As you process these statistics, I want you to keep in mind that we live in the richest country on the planet. Now, don't confuse that statement with us having the best overall standard of living or the best overall health or the best overall educational system. The best of all that is available to us. If it's available to us, the question may be asked, why are so many people struggling in America in all of those areas? Now, we will go to the next section. In this section, the next section, we're going to look at why does your mind allow you to stay in the same condition even though you want to change? I will repeat that. Why does your mind allow you to stay in the same condition even though you want to change? Before I can give you the answer to solve your financial problems, I must first reveal to you why you have the problems in the first place. For the gross majority of people, their current state of their subconscious mind will not allow them to change, even if their conscious mind wants them to. Let me repeat that. For the gross majority of people, their current state of mind or current state of subconscious mind will not allow them to change, even if their conscious mind wants to. Proverbs 23:12, allow thy heart unto instruction and thy ears to the words of knowledge. Now, in this text, my understanding is the heart represents the mind. The heart represents the mind. Now, Proverbs 23:7, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Now, we know we don't think with our heart, but it points to the most vital part of our body, the heart, the mind. And when we look at the heart in this case, in this text, the Bible is talking about the real person, the subconscious, our automatic governor. The conscious mind commands and your subconscious mind obeys. Your subconscious mind is an unquestioning servant that works day and night to make your behavior fit a pattern consistent with your emotionalized thoughts, hopes, and desires. All of your habits of thinking and acting are stored in your subconscious mind. This is the heart of who you are. Important point. Your conscious mind knows what is real at the moment. Your subconscious mind does not discern the difference between what is real and what is not. When we think someone is talking about us when they are not, we have let our subconscious mind take over. Another example, if a person watches a movie, we turn off our conscious mind and watch the movie with our subconscious mind. This is why we can know that the movie is not real and the characters are just acting, but we have all the fears and emotional tears as if it were real. We have let our subconscious mind take over. This is why it's important that we what we put in our mind. Now, I want to make this point very clear. This is not a dig against watching movies. This is just an example of where I'm going to be leading you to show you why you continue to do the things that you do. This is about why so many people in the masses do things wrongly and could continue to do them that way, often knowing that it's wrong. Last example, your subconscious accepts from you whatever you put into it as logical. When you think negative things about someone else, your subconscious mind accepts that information as fact. That same negative information you're thinking about others is the same information that your subconscious mind uses to apply that to you as well. It does not distinguish the difference. This is why so many people create the same bad habits as the masses. Proverbs 4:23, keep thy heart, and I have in parentheses, or mind, with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Keep thy heart or mind with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Let me ask you a question. Do you ever wonder why you see these massive, beautiful fitness centers and gyms that's full of equipment, and they have saunas, showers, and other services, and you can easily walk into any of them and become a new member? It doesn't matter how many members they have. You ever thought about that? Here's the reason. According to Paywall, a statistic brain survey, 63% of memberships go completely unused. 63%. 82% use it less than once a week. The gym is very profitable because of the members who don't use it. Only 18% of people use the gym regularly. Now, why is this? Please understand, I'm sharing this with you so you can understand the power of the heart, the power of the subconscious mind. The 63% of people that never used the gym membership made a conscious decision to start going to the gym. But their heart or subconscious was never changed. The heart or subconscious is their governor. So if the heart and subconscious was never changed, change could not take place. Folks, if you no longer want to be a part of the financial statistics I'm about to share with you, the old man or person must die. There must be a renewing of the mind. Feed your mind good thoughts. The habits that you have, the person that you are, your subconscious, your governor, is the way it is because of the choices and decisions and the thoughts that you've had up until this point in your life. Now, the Bible makes it clear how we should think. And I want you to ask yourself, do most people take this text I'm about to read to you to heart? Because if you really want to change, you have to change your thoughts. I'm turning to Philippians 4:8, KJV. KJV, correction. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. That's a direct suggestion, folks. Think on these things. So when you think good thoughts, you feel good. But most of us aren't programmed to be that way. Jesus said that I go and prepare a place for you. I'm paraphrasing. I go and prepare a place for you. In my Father's house, there are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. Now, if my Father had many mansions, and I said that same thing, the average negative mind would just look at me as bragging. Okay? Not any digs against anyone. That's just how we are programmed to think. Now, we're going to move on to the next section. Okay, the next section is statistical facts. How are we doing as a people financially? Excuse me, not as a people. How are we doing as people financially in this country? These statistics may surprise some people. According to Forbes, 78% of American workers live paycheck to paycheck. This statistic is prior to the pandemic. To live paycheck to paycheck, you have to have an income. No income, no paycheck. The amount of income you earn has less to do with living from paycheck to paycheck than how you manage the money you do earn. Let me repeat that. The amount of income you earn has less to do with living from paycheck to paycheck than how you manage the money you earn. More on that in a few minutes. Let's talk about the first bullet, about the emergency fund. I want you to hear this statistic very clearly. According to Bankrate.com, only 37% of Americans have enough money in the bank, in a bank savings account, to handle a $500 emergency. What you have in your checking account normally is for your daily, weekly, and monthly living. What you have in your savings account is for rainy days. Only 37% of the people in this rich country can handle a $500 emergency. That means that 63% of Americans, workers, cannot handle a $500 emergency. Now, there are many people that handle their money pretty well, people in that 37%. They would find that statistic unbelievable. Who can live like that? How can they sleep at night? These are the questions many people would ask. Yet, most Americans live that way. The number one driver from living paycheck to paycheck is debt. According to Forbes, 3 in 4 workers say that they're in debt. That's 75% of workers. According to statistics cited by Forbes, 50% of workers say they don't think they will ever get out of debt. Proverbs 22:7, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is the servant to the lender. We know that we complain about wealthy people all the time. They're the ones with the power. Things go their way governmentally, and we complain. But we are slaves by choice. Now, the country is set up to pull you into debt. I get emails all the time. You deserve to lighten the load. Take out a personal loan. I receive those from the credit unions. Okay, so you're drawn that way, but you have to change your thinking. We're going to go into the next section. The next section. Now, keep in mind, I'm preparing you for change. The financial trap. What is the financial trap in America? Wow, there it is. Credit. Folks, that is the financial trap. The trap, credit gives you a sense of having money that you really don't have, and causes you to buy things you really can't afford. The amazing thing is, once you spend as much as the cards will allow, you are now technically poorer than you were than before. Your income has not changed, and now you have additional payments to make each month. I know being able to buy things, it makes you feel good. But it turns around and makes you a slave. I'm not going by that. Since you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're likely paying the minimum to close to the minimum payment each month. That is a part of the trap. It appears to make the credit purchase more affordable with low payments, but you are paying more for the purchases in the long run. Think about this. With credit, you're paying more than the person that can afford to pay cash. The one with the most pays the least, and the one with the least pays the most. The credit card company wants you to pay a small payment each month so the balance stays larger. The larger the balance, the higher the interest for the credit card company. I'm going to give you an example of how percentage works. In my business, I earn money selling mutual fund investments, annuities, life insurance, and I manage money through third-party money managers. On the money managed block of business, I earn 1% of total assets. 1%. Many of my colleagues manage over $100 million. $100 million is $1 million a year that they get paid on that block of business. Most people would think that is a lot of money, and it is. But I want you to think about this. The credit card company can charge 30%. They can charge 30%. Did you know that the federal government has no limit for credit card interest? It is the states that set the limit. The lower your income, the more likely you are to pay the highest interest rate. And because you pay the lower monthly payment, you pay the highest amount of interest. The average American in this country has about $5,300 in credit card debt. Some of you may not realize it, but we live in the wealthiest area in the country. this tri-state area they call the DMV. The average credit card debt in our area is $7,442. You have less than that, you're below average. Many have above that, they're above average. Many don't have a clue how much they earn. How much they owe. If they sit down and add it all up, all of their store cards and major cards, it may come to much more than what they think. For most people, the interest they pay on the credit cards would solve all of their money problems over time. For those of you that believe in payday loans are even bigger ripoff. They are even a bigger ripoff. You borrow $200 and write a check for $225 to pay it back next week. Seems like not a bad, excuse me. Seems like not a bad, oh, let me take a little sip, excuse me. It seems like not a bad deal on the surface. If you had 1 year to pay it back, that would only be 12.5% annually. But if you pay it back in 1 week, that is 650% annually. See, you begin to see how they can make a huge amount of money off of people that take out payday loans. Now, once most people get into debt, they tend to stay in debt. You could not afford it in the first place. How can you now continue to maintain the basics, food, shelter, and clothing, and pay off the debt? For most people that have an income and live paycheck to paycheck, many debts and bills created because of wants and not needs is the main reason people have trouble making ends meet. Excuse me. Don't worry. We're going to tell you how to take control of your financial life or your life financially. Telling your conscious mind how to do it without you understanding why you do it is of no long-term effect. Telling your conscious mind to get a gym membership because it seems logical without really focusing on the why and keeping the why right in front of you, you won't go to the gym. And the gross majority of people do just that. Let's look at why people continue with such bad financial practices. What makes a nation profitable, or what makes a nation prosperous? A nation is prosperous when it has an open economy, an inclusive society with strong institutions, and empowered people are healthy, educated, and safe. Our weakest link in this country, and the reason why so few have the money. 5% of the people in America controls 80% of the wealth. 5%. That means that 95% lives off the 20%. These statistics and these things aren't known by most people because they don't think about it. Did you know that 80% of the land in all of America is owned by the government? It almost seems unreal, doesn't it? 80% of all the land is owned by the government. When it comes to money, this country does not have an educational system that teaches us how money works. Most schools don't even teach you how to balance a checkbook. The missing element is education. We live in a governmental society that many things are decided for us. Because of that, most people don't take the time to really think. We simply conform. So why do so many people do the same thing? We simply do what we see everybody else doing. 78% live paycheck to paycheck. That's nearly 80%, folks. Why do we do that? Why do nearly 80% of people buy gym memberships and don't go? It's the mind, folks. Okay, somebody needs to mute their mic. I just heard somebody sigh. I understand though, hearing these statistics will cause that to happen. Okay, so we're getting ready to move to the next section, a very important section. How do we change? How do we change? Now, that's the question, how do we change? The first thing you must do is change the way you currently think about money. Poverty or living a life of lack is a condition. Living a life of having more than you need is a mindset. Many of you get a windfall from the government, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. It's only a very temporary effect. It isn't like your bank account and savings is increased by $9,000 for most people. So you have to change the way you think about money. And I will repeat that. We have a list on the screen. Poverty or living a life of lack is a condition. Living a life of having more than you need is a mindset. Wealthy people decide how much they will save and invest, then live off the rest. Most American workers spend all that they earn, leaving little to nothing to save. Do you see the difference? Saving comes first, but we didn't know that. We must change our thinking from spend first to save first. If you are not saving money, then you are not prepared for anything to go wrong. You must depend on others, the government, or your church to help you if you need a car repair, a new appliance, health issues, or if you need to travel to pay your respects to a family member. You need to depend on other people. That should not be the case. Most people look at these problems that need to be addressed after they happen. Most people look at these problems that need to be addressed after they happen. No, these are problems you should be prepared for. Before we get to the steps needed to take care or take change to change your circumstances, before we get to the steps needed to change your circumstances, let me reiterate. You must change your thinking and mindset, and always keep in mind Philippians 4:8 and Proverbs 4:23. And we will go to the next section and last section. Initial steps you must take to begin the process of being financially fit. Now you understand that it's your own heart, your own subconscious that is keeping you in this condition. All right? So the initial steps you must take to begin the process of being financially fit. The first step in getting on the path to controlling your finances is to create a $1,000 emergency fund as fast as you can. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, excuse me, I apologize. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you may find this task of creating a $1,000 emergency fund fast a difficult task, at least initially. However, I will explain how to save that $1,000 emergency fund, but understand change is painful. Most people don't have the discipline or courage to do it. With God, all things are possible. Let me tell you, if you are one of the 67% that does not have any savings, and you accomplish this first step, and you accomplish this first step, and you accomplish this first step of creating that $1,000 emergency fund, it will feel like a significant accomplishment, more than you could think. And I don't care if you don't have any savings, it doesn't matter how much money you earn. If you create this $1,000 emergency fund, the reason why it feels so good, you will feel better about yourself for this, because for many, this would be the first time that they will have $1,000 with nothing they have to spend it on. Sure, you get $1,000 all the time, but it goes out to the lender, to the rent, to the gas, to the food. But having $1,000 that you don't have to spend it on, if you're not used to having that cushion, will feel good indeed. You must determine what are needs versus wants and make the sacrifices necessary to reach your new goals. Okay, let's find the money to save that $1,000 emergency fund. First, you must create a budget. You have to know how much money is coming in and where it is going. A quick start budget. Write down all of your expenses. If you don't have the exact amount, make a good guess. This exercise alone will be eye-opening for many. Some of you will wonder how I pay this much each month. But here's the good thing. Many of you may discover that your expenses are is not as much as you thought they were. Many of you, when you write down your expenses versus your income, you will find that you should have money at the end of the month. Then you will ask the question, where is all of my money going? Next, write down your monthly income, then minus your expenses from your income. Next, create a quick start budget in this order. The first item is giving, the amount you give your church and charity. The next item is food, grocery and restaurants. Next is personal clothing, phone, fund money, gifts. Next is transportation, auto, insurance, gas, maintenance, or your public transportation expenses. Last is housing, mortgage/rent, or utilities. Then total these categories. This is only a quick start budget of the big items to get you started. Now you have a good idea of where you are financially. You have a good idea where you are financially. Next, list all your debt except your mortgage or rent. Then list them from the smallest balance to the largest. I will explain later why you should list them from the smallest balance to the largest. Since you did not list everything you spend on money, your income should exceed your expenses at this point. Now, look at your spending habits. Do you buy your meals from restaurants most of the time? Many people spend, no problem. Excuse me. Many people spend $5 every morning at Starbucks, then spend $12 a day on lunch. 70% of workers live paycheck to paycheck, but the food delivery services out there are booming. Where's all this money coming from? There's nothing wrong with spending on that food service every day if your finances are in order. $17 a day on food is $510 a month. $5 at Starbucks does not include your breakfast. These numbers are taken into account that you eat your breakfast and dinner at home. If you don't, that's even more money. But in this scenario, if you eliminate Starbucks, now these things you need to eliminate until you get your finances in order. Then you can do what you want. If you eliminate Starbucks by buying a 20-pack of herbal tea for the month and bring your lunch from home, you could save around $300 a month versus spending $510, you'd spent $210. If a couple eats out at least twice a month and spends $50 each time, stop until you get your finances in order. That is another $100 a month. We will be in debt and live paycheck to paycheck and still do these things, because if we didn't, we would feel like we're in prison or something. We have to figure out a way to have a release, but you will be able to release a lot more if you get your finances in order. So now that we're up to a possible $400 a month savings, another way to save money is to bulk cook your meals. My wife often meal plans and cooks for the whole week on Sundays. That is our breakfast, my lunch to take to work each day, and dinner. When the lunch meals are running low, I take a couple Amy's organic vegetarian burritos to work for lunch. On average, that would save the average person $30 a week, or about $120 a month. If you drive to work alone every day, see if you can find people that live near you and work near you that can share your gas expense by paying less than they would pay or paying now for public transportation. Plus, they get chauffeured back and forth to work by you. Many people pay $20 a day or more to park and ride the subway to work. What if two people paid you $10 a day to ride to work? That would be over $400 a month into your budget. Now, this might not be as applicable these days since we have COVID. Reevaluate your insurances, life, health, auto, shop around and compare prices. Change your phone plan. Many of us have a lot of features that are luxury, which is fine if you can afford them. But even if we live paycheck to paycheck, people need these things to feel good. But if you get the discipline to do without them for a while until you get your finances together, you will love your life and love yourself better. If you live in an apartment or townhouse, did you know that there are people who share internet in those circumstances? If you live in an apartment or townhouse, you can share internet with neighbors. Now, of course, this is a big one. You have to trust anyone that you share internet with. But if you can turn an $80 a month internet bill into a $40 a month, or even a $20 a month, that's $240 a year that you would save. A big one. This is something that I've been affected by, and many people are. Unsubscribe from those emails that tempt you to buy. We have algorithms now. You can go on a site and look at something, then go on a social media site and see that same product you just looked at. It's algorithms. Unsubscribe to those that would tempt you to buy. Remove your credit card from online accounts. It is inconvenient to put your information in each time. You're less likely to make a purchase if you have to go get your wallet first. These are just psychological changes you can make. Once you have significantly, now this can be done quickly. This can be done quickly. Once you have significantly trimmed your spending habits by implementing some of these ideas, you can quickly save the $1,000 emergency fund to get you started. Woo. Now you're ready to pay off all of your debt except your mortgage. To accomplish this does take a strong desire to want to do it. It would take major sacrificing until you are debt free. That's the objective, folks. We have debt because we don't have a mindset of living debt free. That's why we have debt. Now, not only will your finances improve, so will your health, especially mentally. This is the reason I asked you to first list your debt with the smallest balance first. To pay off your debt, start paying off your smallest bill first. When it is paid, it will give you a sense of accomplishment, a sense of victory. Go to the next smallest and so on. These new habits can create a feeling of constant joy. What is happiness? Having something to look forward to each day. That is what separates happy people from unhappy people. 80% of people go to a job every day they don't like. Now, on top of that, you're struggling financially? Wow, that's a terrible position to be in. That is not a formula for happiness. What is the number one reason for divorce in this country? Finances. Once you've paid off all your debt, the next step is to save 3 to 6 months of expenses in a fully funded emergency fund. After you've accomplished that, you have a fully funded emergency fund, now you're ready to see a financial advisor like myself. The next step is to start investing 15% of your household income for retirement. The steps I've shared with you about financial fitness substantially is based on material from Ramsey Solutions. That is all that I will cover in this financial seminar. And now is the time to ask any questions you may have. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your presentation, Michael. Before I go into the questions that I received, I'm just going to put a link in the chat box. So if you would click the link on the chat box, scroll all the way to the bottom, you can input your information and you'll be signed up for all the upcoming events and seminars, and you'll also be able to receive a free gift. So make sure that you click the link before you sign out. But I did have a few questions that came in. Um, the first question someone would like to ask is, in light of the current situation in America, is it advisable to take out a loan for a home? Can they take it away when you don't abide by the rules and measures prescribed by law? How could a poor person have a home without borrowing?
Okay, I'm trying to. All right, I can't start the video, but let me answer the question. Can a poor person have a home without taking out, a loan? Believe it or not, in many third world countries, many Caribbean countries, that's the way they do it. But they build the home a little bit each time. So it may take them 10 years or 15 years to build that home, but they don't have debt. Now, in America, that is not the way it is done. You can't have a home without having money. That's number one. But we live in a system that once you understand what allows you to earn money, and you understand the philosophy, the basics to earning money, you can earn money. That's the basic. Look, I'm gonna give you an example. Well, can you be poor and have a home is the question. I guess I would have to have what what you mean by poor. Okay, because if you need credit to take out a loan, and when you say poor, or you mean poverty, or you're saying being poor because you make $10 an hour or $15 an hour, I really don't know what poor means.
Well, this person doesn't go into it, but I'm assuming poor meaning living paycheck to paycheck. You said the 70% of Americans who are living paycheck to paycheck. I believe
Well,
that's what she means.
Part of
Or a
living
single
paycheck
mother.
part of living paycheck to paycheck for a lot of people is also due to having a home that's greater than they can afford. So you can have a home living paycheck to paycheck. That's why I was saying about poor. You can't take a loan out if you don't have the income to support it. So maybe that'll answer the question.
Thank you. And it's also a two-part
Really,
question. She also wants to know, is technocracy credit social system a reality?
I didn't get the word technocracy.
Yes. I looked it up. It means the government or control of society or industry by an elite of technical experts.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the enlightenment. Okay. See, we are looking at, and I understand the nature of what we are working with, but we're looking at themes that are a little deeper than I go. The conspiracy component that's working against us, and there are some that are out there, I tend to would lean more to learning how to work within the system versus trying to work against the system. Right now, technology is the sector that's keeping our entire economy going. But is it possible to prosper? Absolutely.
Thank you. So one of the next questions is, how can parents begin to retrain the minds of their children so that they can avoid some of the financial mistakes that are so common? So for a young person, how can they avoid debt and go forward being financially stable?
Well, that's a very good question. And that is where it should begin. I think that a person should seek books or information or free information online to give them ideas for that. I don't particularly work with children, but instilling principles in the children early would really help them in the long run. During my era as a child, it was much different than now. We didn't have as much influence by the television. Television had children's programs only at certain times. And we, that attraction to buy this and buy that or be like someone else wasn't anywhere near as strong as it is now. And we worked by cutting grass and things of that nature at a very young age, which most don't do to understand how to earn money from early age. But my suggestion would be to obtain that information from the experts that focus on teaching children money management skills.
That's a great point. I know now it's a little bit more difficult with giving children permission to do cutting grass and lemonade stands because of permits, depending on where you live. But that's a great point. Going back to the houses question that I had earlier, someone else mentioned, what is the best way to pay off your home loan? Should one add a little at the beginning of each month with your regular mortgage bill? Or is it better to make an extra payment in the middle of the month? Or should I just pay a little every week after I've made my initial mortgage payment?
Well, to pay off your mortgage early, most people just add money to their payment on the first of each month. We have calculators that can tell a person that has a 30-year mortgage that want to pay it off in 15 exactly what they would need to pay each month. We do that in financial plans all the time. Mortgages can work differently. Some mortgages, if you pay between the 1st and the 15th, there's no additional interest. Some mortgage, every day, the interest is added. So you would want to check with your mortgage company to make sure that how your mortgage works. But the safest is to pay your mortgage on the 1st of each month. And that's the best time to add additional principal payments.
Is that the same for, let's say I have a student loan, is it better to pay more on the initial payment each month? Is it the same principle?
Student loan interest works the same way. So, the more money, the quicker it would be paid off. Fortunately, right now, I think student loan interest is being forgiven at the moment. But the more you add to the payment, the quicker you're knocking down the principal. So if you put an extra $100 with your payment, you're not paying interest on that $100 the next month.
Okay. Another question that we have is it good to get credit cards that give cash rewards when you spend money, but pay off the balance every month?
That is controversial. Now, Dave Ramsey would just have a resounding no. You shouldn't have any credit cards. You should just only have a bank card, okay? Now, many people, their credit card is their emergency fund, but that's where you are. That's not where you should stay. Credit cards tend to draw you in, and at some point you're paying interest. If somebody is disciplined to not pay any interest and still receive the reward, I don't see a problem with that. The problem is what we talked about earlier, the subconscious mind, the heart versus the conscious mind.
Another question, how can you get negative things off of your credit report?
There are many advertising programs out there to help you do that. And I don't think the cost is as much now as it used to be. Credit cards on your credit report don't hurt you. If you have credit cards and the balance is paid, in fact, it helps you. The more credit you have and the least you owe is the higher your credit score. So having credit cards, you want to stop using them, but you don't necessarily want to cancel them. You just want to pay off the balance. And the more, the least your balance, the higher your credit score. Now, let me also add, anybody can clean up their credit. If you have something on your credit that you want to dispute is incorrect, they have to remove that from your credit for 30 days. And, if the credit card company or the lender does not respond in 30 days, it's removed. And the lender would have to put it back on there. So you can clean up your own credit for sure.
Well, that's good news. I think that's the end of the questions that I received in the chat, but we can open up this time if anyone else didn't get a chance to write it in the chat. If they have any questions, they can just unmute and ask you at this time.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
I was listening to Mike. This is Shara Kobe. And I just wanted to share with everyone that when we started off years ago, we didn't have a lot of money in saving. So what we did was back then, of course, land was a lot cheaper than it is now. So what we were told we could do is purchase land. And if you didn't have a whole lot of savings, you could use your land for collateral. And we went to the bank doing that, and we were able to get a loan for our house, and we were able to build our house. And our house didn't cost us like it would cost a builder to come in and do it, because we built our own home. So perhaps that could help somebody if they don't have a whole lot of money in the bank, but that truly, truly blessed us. And I don't think I heard Mike say that. I'm not sure, because I didn't come in right away. So if that can be of some assistance or help somebody, then, you know, if you got the right, we dealt with Farm Credit at the time. And when we went in, we were able to get everything at one time. So maybe that can help somebody else.
Thank you for that, Shara. Yes, that's called a construction loan. And that's a very good idea. Can a poor person build their own home? If they can come together, even as a family, and purchase the land, that would be a good start, and to be able to accomplish it the same way that they did.
Okay, I've met a couple of folks who have done what you suggested that they do in the Caribbean, buy and build over years, have done that in America because they don't want to be in debt. So that is a possibility as well. My other issue was there is a government program but you must move to a rural location, and they will give you a loan for families whose income is probably less than $1,000 or $1,500 per month, based on the family size. I wanted to know if that's a good idea to do something like that, or is that another credit trap?
Well, government programs, especially right now, are helping a lot of people. It doesn't sound like a credit trap. 80% of homes in America have a mortgage. The gross majority of people, the only way they're going to have a home is with a mortgage. So finding the right loan is very important. So what you just explained does not sound like a trap or predatory lending or anything of that nature. It sounds like something that someone with low income could take advantage of. I'm not familiar with that program, but thanks for sharing.
If there are no more questions, I believe there's a poll up that asks you what program you're going to be interested in for the future. So if you can please fill out that poll, that'd be great. If there are no more questions, thank you, Michael. I really enjoyed your presentation. I think everyone learned a lot, and I hope that everyone was blessed and enjoyed this presentation. So again, don't forget to click the link in the chat and fill out your information so that you can receive your free gift. We can close out with a word of prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to come together this evening for this seminar. I pray that everyone enjoyed and learned something from this message, and that this message will resonate in everyone's hearts. Please be with us as we depart tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.